Officials in Uvalde are apparently using a strange legal loophole to avoid transparency on how their cops handled the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School, which of course tragically left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. The police department is facing a lot of ridicule because of the fact that it took them over an hour, about 77 minutes, to get into the classroom and do something about the shooter. But now we're learning that they're trying to avoid releasing documents that are being called upon by various reporters. Now, the city of Uvalde, according to NPR, has hired a private law firm to make its case, which cited the dead suspect loophole to deny the release of information because the gunman died in police custody. The legal exception bars the public disclosure of information pertaining to crimes in which no one has been convicted. Now, there was a good reason for putting this type of loophole in the legislation. It was meant to ensure that someone who might be innocent isn't publicly accused of a crime, that their reputation isn't completely destroyed. The Texas Attorney General's office has ruled that the exception applies when a suspect is dead. And in this case, of course, the suspect is the mass shooter. Now, the maneuver has been used repeatedly by Texas law enforcement agencies to claim they're not required to turn over the requested information because a criminal case is still pending, even though the suspect is dead. And again, the loophole exists to protect innocent people who are wrongfully accused or whose cases were dismissed. Now, as you can imagine, the press is looking for all sorts of documents, including and also surveillance, including body camera footage, the 911 calls, criminal records, and emails and text messages that were exchanged between members of the police department. And there's good reason for why they would want this information, as you guys probably already know, but for those of you who might have missed, after the shooting happened, we got all sorts of contradicting information from local officials, from the police department. The story kept changing. And wow, what a shocker. We're actually learning some other pretty terrible, incriminating information about how the police department handled the shooting that day. But before I get to that, Emma, I wanted to open it up to you and get your thoughts.
I mean, to me, it's clear that they're covering up something massive. Now, we don't know what that is. Obviously, I'm speculating here. I'm gonna give that a million caveats. But there's a possibility that a cop's bullet killed a child or more, right? We don't know that for sure. But given the extent to which they're trying to cover these things up, you can't rule out that possibility. Because it's been revealed at the very least, they were incredibly negligent. There were dozens of officers at the scene from different departments that chose to wait an hour as they were receiving 911 calls from a little girl who said, "My teacher's bleeding," smeared her friend's blood on herself in order to hide herself from the shooter, among other things. You can see the logged minutes where they didn't do anything at all. So either police are too scared to do anything, or they committed a crime here. And frankly, we can get to more details, and I want to critique the Biden administration's lack of really saying anything at all on this topic in a bit, but maybe you can go through those details and then we can get into that.
Yeah, the Biden administration, I think unsurprisingly, has been careful in avoiding any type of offense toward the police in the city, even in this situation, even when you have right wingers in the country criticizing how the police handled it. But I do want to talk about some of the latest that we've learned, according to those close to the investigation, and also one sheriff in the area who disclosed information to the press. So the city and its police department are arguing against the release of the requested records, citing the following reasons. And again, all of these reasons are being cited, okay? The city's being sued. Some individuals' criminal history records could include highly embarrassing information. Some of the information could reveal police methods, techniques, and strategies for preventing and predicting crime. Doubt it.
What strategy?
Right, exactly. Like the idea, like we need to hold these strategies close to home, close to our hearts. Because we've been so effective in preventing crime, including a mass shooter in an elementary school. Like, so ridiculous. Absolutely
strategy
ridiculous.
Where we cowered in fear as children were being massacred inside. That's something we've got to keep under wraps, guys, because it's really highly technical police work. Okay.
Yeah, insane, absolutely insane. So could cause emotional/mental distress is not of legitimate concern to the public. No, I would argue it actually is of very legitimate concern to the public, namely the victims, family members who want answers in regard to how the cops handled this situation. Could subject city employees or officers to a substantial threat of physical harm and violates individuals' common law right to privacy. City officials have also refused to release more details, reasoning that it could interfere with the ongoing investigation by the Texas Department of Public Safety, Uvalde County's district attorney, and the FBI. But look, despite their best efforts to avoid any transparency, we are learning more and more about how incompetent the Uvalde police were, how honestly, it seemed like they were completely unaware of basic issues, including whether or not the classroom door was locked. And apparently, according to new reports, the Uvalde police didn't even attempt to open 2 of the classroom doors, 2 of the doors leading into the classroom where the shooter was, right? So they had assumed that it was locked. And so they didn't just try to turn the knob and open it. Instead, they, according to police officials, tried a bunch of different keys. I don't even know if that's true, that's what they're alleging. And they didn't get into the classroom until they used a crowbar to open it. So let me give you those details. This was, okay, so surveillance footage shows that police never tried to open the door to 2 classrooms at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. In the 77 minutes between the time the gunman entered the rooms and massacred 21 people, and officers finally stormed in and killed him, according to a law enforcement source who's close to the investigation. Police might have assumed the door was locked, but the latest evidence suggests it may have been open the whole time, possibly due to a malfunction, the source said. The surveillance footage indicates gunman Salvador Ramos was able to open the door to the classroom, 111, and enter with an assault-style rifle, the source said. So this is a police source close to the investigation, disclosing this information to the press. And so regardless of how much the cops want to avoid transparency, things are leaking out now. But it's just, don't assume, try to open the door. They didn't even, according to the surveillance footage, they didn't even try to do that, Emma.
This kind of reminds me a little bit about when we've been talking about abortion and the pending abortion ban that's gonna happen in many red states in this country after Roe v. Wade is appealed, in which sometimes I see liberals focusing on the rape and incest exceptions in certain bills. And it's like, certain Republicans, they might not be that extreme if they want to put exceptions for rape and incest in these bills. But it's kind of a red herring because one, then you're focusing on and you're conceding the point to the right that an abortion is an immoral act. And so now the debate is about whether you can, in some narrow exceptions, if you're a victim, do this immoral act in order to save yourself some emotional distress. And it's not even a good faith debate because Republicans don't really care about rape and incest exceptions. Now we're talking about doors. We're talking about doors. And that's what the police want, right? They are putting this out there to the public that maybe the door didn't lock on purpose. So the conversation is about door safety, and Republicans are happy to talk about that as well too. One entryway point, and they don't even believe this either. The Uvalde cops are waiting this out until the national media doesn't pay as much attention anymore. And Republican politicians are waiting this out so they don't really have to do much on gun bills, et cetera. So they're working in tandem to just tread water and not and make this a separate conversation, push the pressure away from them and all of that. I mean, it was the same reason why they were focusing on the teacher leaving the rock allegedly, right, which was proven false at the door, and that the door was open, etc. Focus on the teachers. Public schools are inherently unsafe. Teachers are, those unions, we should really undercut them, right? They're not doing their jobs well. Doors are not safe enough in schools, etc. Anything except the major issues in this country, which are we have way too many guns, it's way too easily accessible for people to get guns, and also that cops are overfunded and are doing nothing with that money.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the frantic search for a scapegoat following a mass shooting has become even more vicious, where, before, the usual talking points focused on the right wing's alleged concerns, obviously the hollow concerns, because they never want to do anything about mental health in America. Now it's focusing all the energy on the teachers. The fact that they decided to place blame on a teacher for allegedly propping a door open with a rock tells you everything you need to know. And then that story, of course, changed, and there was evidence indicating that that was not the case. The teacher did not prop the door open with a rock. And now, yes, you're right. The focus is on whether or not that lock malfunctioned, but placing all the blame on a malfunctioning lock is exactly what you say it is, Emma. It's a way to distract from the very real issue of mass shootings happening on a regular basis in this country, mass shootings impacting children in elementary schools. This isn't the first time it's happened. And you're right, I do think that the right wing, along with gun advocates, are desperately hoping that the ending to this whole story is what we've experienced in the past. Everyone forgets, everyone moves on. We get distracted by what the latest scandal or latest political story is, and that's it. And they never have to face any real consequences or really question some of our failing policies. So I like that we're staying on the story. We're gonna continue doing that. And hopefully the police will have no choice but to release the documents and the footage that the press is demanding of them. But they do have that loophole in the books, and they're definitely taking full advantage of it to avoid the release of these documents.
And just one final point really quickly, just notice how the right's demonization of teachers is a through line throughout all of their political projects right now. It's both with this mass shooting, it's with grooming kids. They are trying to undercut the concept of public education and teachers, and it's a multi-pronged approach. So just be aware of that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Teachers are groomers, but we are going to put guns in their hands because we trust them to protect our kids from mass shooters. It's so ridiculous.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.